The pharmaceutical industry has this massive, multi-billion-dollar problem that's actually slowing down how we get life-saving medicine. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into how AI is stepping in to fix it.
Okay, let's just start with a number. 20 to 40 billion dollars. I mean, that's the staggering amount of money the pharmaceutical industry wastes every single year, just on misallocated R&D capital. And look, this isn't some rounding error. It's a fundamental systemic flaw.
So that begs the question, right? What if we could prevent all that waste and actually get better drugs to market faster? I know it sounds pretty ambitious, but the crazy thing is the technology to do it is already here. All right, to really get the solution, we first have to understand the problem. And it's this huge systemic issue. Let's call it pharma's billion-dollar blind spot.
And this is where it gets really painful. The costs they stack up in this cascade of inefficiency. You've got the direct waste from picking the wrong drugs to fund. Then you have these catastrophic late-stage failures. We're talking up to 75% of drugs failing pretty far down the line. On top of that, you're losing 3 to 9 months just making decisions, and every single delay costs tens of millions in opportunity costs. It's a mess.
So what's the root cause of all these bad bets? Well, experts have a name for it: the evidence synthesis crisis. And as you can probably guess, it's all about data.
This is probably the best way to think about it. Imagine you're a detective trying to solve a huge crime, but your evidence, it's scattered across 20 different police departments. And to make it worse, it's all written in different languages. How on earth could you piece that together? Well, that's pretty much what drug development teams are up against every single day. This chaos really boils down to 4 key challenges. First, fragmentation. The data is just everywhere, scattered across 10 or 20 different platforms. Second, you can't even compare it. A shocking 80% of the evidence can't be compared apples to apples. So what happens? That leads to subjectivity, where big decisions are made on committee intuition, basically gut feeling. And here's the kicker. Even when they do use AI, the predictions are often black boxes. There's no clear way to know how confident you should be in the answer.
And this chart, wow, this really drives the point home. Look at this. Somewhere between 70 and 90% of these massive, multi-billion-dollar decisions are driven by committee intuition. And let's be clear, it's not because these leaders are ignoring data on purpose. It's because the chaos we just talked about makes getting a clear quantitative picture almost impossible. They are literally forced to rely on gut feel. In a world of big data, that's just astonishing.
Okay, so that's the problem in a nutshell. It's messy, it's incredibly expensive, and it's way too subjective. So now let's pivot and talk about the solution. It's all about unlocking something called decision intelligence.
So the key here is a technology called the evidence integration module. The best way to think about it is like a universal translator and a master analyst all rolled into one. It's this brilliant AI system that takes all that scattered, messy, incomparable data and just boils it down into a single, calibrated, and actionable score.
And how it works is actually pretty elegant, powerful in its simplicity. First, it just gathers up all that scattered data from every source. Then it uses something called Bayesian analysis. It's a type of AI that's really good at reasoning with uncertainty to weigh and integrate all that evidence. Next, and this is crucial, it calibrates the confidence. It doesn't just tell you what the answer is, it tells you how certain you can be about it. And finally, boom, it delivers a single reliable score to guide the decision.
I mean, the difference here is just night and day. You're going from subjective, intuitive gut feelings to hard, quantitative, calibrated data. You're going from a slow 9-month slog to a super fast 4 to 6 week analysis. And you're going from high-risk chaos to integrated, actionable intelligence. It's a total game changer.
So what does all this actually mean, for the bottom line, and more importantly, for patients? Let's dive into the economics of making smarter, faster decisions.
Okay, first up, speed. This is huge. The time it takes to make one of those critical go or no-go decisions gets slashed from as long as 9 months all the way down to just 4 to 6 weeks. That's at least a 50% cut in decision time. In an industry where time is literally money, that's incredible. And speaking of money, every single time this technology helps a company avoid one of those late-stage drug failures we talked about, it saves them between $50 and $200 million on a single decision. So you can see how this all adds up to a massive boost in R&D efficiency. We're talking about a 35 to 60% improvement in how effectively that R&D capital gets used. It's really about making every single dollar work harder and a whole lot smarter. But honestly, what truly matters here isn't just about saving money. It's this. Better decisions mean getting drugs to patients 6 to 12 months faster. And for someone who's waiting for a breakthrough treatment, a year, well, a year can be a lifetime.
So it's pretty clear we're not just looking at some new tool here. What we're really talking about is the beginning of a whole new era for drug development. And the vision for this is really clear. The first couple of years, it's all about market validation, proving the value with early adopters. Then, the next phase is about expansion, getting this into the hands of all the top pharma companies. And the end game? Within 5 years, the goal is for this to be the undisputed market leader, the absolute standard for making evidence-based decisions in pharma.
So here's the ultimate takeaway. This isn't just about an incremental improvement. It's about creating an entirely new category, pharmaceutical decision intelligence. This moves us way beyond simple analytics to a place where data provides clear, confident strategic direction. This is about fundamentally changing how the entire industry thinks about risk, value, and speed.
And that leaves us with one last, kind of provocative thought. We spend billions upon billions developing new drugs. But what if the most powerful drug of all isn't a molecule in a pill? What if it's the intelligence we get from finally making sense of our data? Thanks so much for joining this explainer.